Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? It's Monday. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another morning motivation. I'm your host, Jamon, and today is a tough one. A little bittersweet day. But we're going to try to keep it going. I apologize for missing on Friday, but, family comes first in most of our situations. And, I'm sure most of you understand how it goes sometimes. So I really do appreciate your patience and just being able to give me a little time. And I don't really have much of a filter, so I'm going to just go ahead and say it. I woke up, my wife woke me up, I guess, late Thursday night, early Friday morning, with the news that basically my pops had collapsed. And unfortunately, my pops passed away early Friday morning. So shout out to my pops. Never been really big on doing these things publicly, but we become a family here. So I wanted you guys to know that's why I've been a little absent, a little more disconnected than usual. It's complicated. I think the most complicated relationship I've ever had was with my father. And for those of you who read the book, you get it. And so this morning, I don't want to get lost in my thoughts too much on this. And I'm not even sure how long I want to even do this stream this morning. I didn't decide until about 2 minutes ago that I was going to do it. Because the day that it happened, I was truly trying to be strong for the family. And I didn't get a chance to really think about it too much for myself as far as how his passing would affect me. And so I did what I always do. I put on the brave face and, I started handling business, started doing things. And then I come home and my mom is here. And she's currently going through what she's going through. And I knew, this could be a difficult year for me. But I had no idea how the emotions would be. And just to be, fully transparent, I was in a really good relationship with my dad. So it wasn't like, I wish there was still time. I wish I would have said some things. Of course, there's always something like that. But this was different for me. It was really different for me because we did have a good relationship. We had buried the hatchet, so to speak, on some things some years ago. But it's like this perfect storm that's happening. It's this perfect storm that's happening. And I'm in the middle of launching a company that's dealing with fatherhood and family success. But what I didn't realize was even though me and Pops was cool, it was a lot of relationships that was connected through him that I really wasn't cool with. And not like there was strife or any kind of beef, but it's just things that never was dealt with. Even though we were good, other family members on his side, other even his relationship with my mom, that was complicated. And my mom, and she's wanting to grieve on one side, but then she's also trying not to show that it bothers her, but of course it bothers her. So it's been a difficult weekend. It's been a very difficult weekend. So let me go back to the top of the show. Shout out to that chick, yo, being first in the building. What up, Toronto? What's up, boo? D Rod, my guy, salute. What's good, Mo? Yeah, it's been woo. Like I said, it was kind of a last minute decision this morning. So I said, let me get up. I haven't even had coffee yet, y'all. So y'all still hear the voice. Nothing. Oh man. So what do you do? What do you do when you need some extra motivation? What do you do when, and this is like real time grieving. You know, my daughter, she lost her mother, my oldest daughter. Her mother passed away about 2 years ago. Maybe three now. No, it's been 2 years. I think it was 2021, the end of 21. I think, I don't know, maybe in 22. COVID years, they messed me up. But she passed away. It was during COVID. I want to say it was 21, but it might have been 22. I'm not 100% sure. But either way. And I don't remember my daughter really even shedding much of a tear. She was sad. She was a little disconnected and withdrawn. Appreciate you, baby. Bobby says, I'm proud of you, baby. It's not easy to carry on through the pain. Toronto Riggin says, my deepest condolences, bro. Praying for you and the family. Yeah, man. So, and I know she struggled for a long time because she didn't know how to grieve it. She didn't know how to grieve. And the grief process is very similar to the breakup of a great love. You know, the one that you thought was gonna be the one that you went through all kind of stuff with, and then you wake up one day and it's over. It's just over. And that's bad. It's bad in and of itself. But that person keeps just they walk around every day. You still see him from time to time, and every time you see him, it's like a fresh wound that happens all over again for some time. And understandably, when you love somebody with your full heart, what it says, grace covers a multitude of sins. But what about carrying on, moving on, picking up the pieces? What happens there? How do you do that effectively? And that's the question I've been asking myself all weekend. Because y'all know I'm a dismissive avoidant. I like to pew. I like to go off to myself, get off in the cut. not be too connected. And it's been a very heavy thought on my heart. So what I want to do today, for a little while, I'm not going to be here too long today because I don't want to ramble, and I haven't finished fully processing everything yet. So, but I want to hop on and let you guys know why I was absent Friday and why I was almost absent today. But for those of you who don't know my dad, his name is Walter. So that's why when I saw a guy come in the chat like Walter Glover, I'm like, I know this is not my dad in here. But his name is Walter Glover. He's affectionately known as Glover Lover. Shout out to G Lover. Glover Lover. My dad worked at a quilting manufacturer for years. When I was younger, he worked at a glass plant, and he worked at a pickling plant. I mean, all the factory jobs, I guess, in a local community. Yeah, G Lover. And I didn't get a chance to really see him in his work environment. I just knew what it was at home or what it was at church. And, you know, my dad really wasn't into the church, like, heavily until, AKA Wolf. Yeah, he was called Wolf, too. Y'all remember back in the day, the black exploitation films? It was the one called Super Wolf. And it was about this pimp who had the juicy Jerry curl. Shout out to the Jerry curl. And I don't know how my dad, well, I kind of maybe do, but I don't know how my dad picked up this reputation or this name. But I remember he had this 72 Cutlass. It was red, it was like burgundy, like a deep red with a big white pinstripe that went from the hood of the car all the way to the back of the car. But it was a real thick one. So you really couldn't tell if the car was burgundy red or white. But you know, one way or the other, it had a nice stripe down the middle of it or the sides. And I remember when he would pull up turn on the corner, and I could be playing in the yard, and I hear that car. I hear it turning down the street, and I just stop and I would just look, and I watch him pull up and parking right in front of the house. Then he get out, and it was just let your soul glow when the curl was flowing. Oh man, my dad had that sauce, y'all. He had the sauce. Again, we used to call it the swag, but my dad was dripping. I mean, no matter what he did, and he had this rule in the house that it was no don't leave this house looking like anything. You never know who you're gonna run into. You never know if your car gonna break down, if you gotta go in the store or something happen. He always had these little set of rules and these little sayings that back in the day was like, whatever. I'm just throw these shorts on real quick. You know, oh man, I ain't gonna brush my teeth this morning. You know, I'm late, so I'll just chew some gum or something. And it never failed. Every time I go out the door and I'm half stepping, when I was younger, I brush my teeth now before I leave the house, y'all. But when I was younger, if I wake up late, I'm just like, man, I'm just grabbing stuff, going out the door, and I'm throwing gum in my mouth. Well, I bumped into this chick that I had been trying to get her attention anyway. And she saw me this particular day. And of course, she would see me on this particular day. And I'm trying to spit all my game, and she just kind of like, and she blinking her eyes, you know, like, she's listening, but she's like, yeah. But she's backing away from me. I said, you know me. I said, what, my breath stink? She said, yeah. And I'm just like, dang. Pops told me don't leave without looking any kind of way. So he had all these kind of rules. He was immaculately dressed most of the time. Even when he went to, work. If he had to wear a work uniform, he made sure his pants was ironed, his shoes was fresh. He made sure that he had his work clothes set up and ironed and pre-washed, always ready to go because he might get called in. My dad was always prepared. in a sense, he was a Boy Scout, right? He was always prepared for whatever situation that was gonna happen. And I always say, I talk about people. What are people's superpower? What are the things that people just do better than anybody else? What are the things that people just do with ease and comfort, and they're known for it? They can hang their hat on this particular thing. Well, my dad's superpower was the bounce back. The bounce back. The ability to be present. So he's a combination of two. I've seen my dad leave a space and he was hot. You can see the wrinkle lines in his forehead, and the breathing is elevated, and he's hot. He's mad with whoever he just left. But then, on his way to wherever he's going, some process happens in his mind. And then he hear, "Hey, Glover, how you doing?" Instantly, "Hey, darling, how you doing? How you doing, darling? Oh, you looking good today, girl. What's going on with you?" And he could be in the present moment right then with whoever this person is. "Hey, Glover, big dog, what's up, man?" "Man, shoot, bro, I can't call it, man. Can't call it, man. If I had your hands, I cut mine off. Look at you looking all good, boy. Where you get that jacket from?" I mean, he was always, people loved my dad. When I was graduating high school, my dad, he started working at Walmart. He was like one of those door greeters, because, during the time in the 90s when all the jobs started going overseas, so the company my dad worked for, they gave him an early retirement package because he had been there so long. They gave him he was faithful, so they gave him an early package. So he was like, "I'm gonna just get me a little part-time, little something, and I'm gonna just relax. I'm gonna take this retirement, sit it on the shelf." So that's what he did. And nobody goes to Walmart without going past my dad and speaking. Even if he ain't there, people will find the door, because he worked in the garden center. So everybody would go. It would be more cars in the garden center than in the grocery section. And I remember one day I came home. Y'all remember I told a story when I was little, when I was fishing with him and his friends. And I was like, why do people like him? I don't get it. I don't like him too much. He always trying to tell me what to do, and he bossy. But why these other dudes like him? What I saw happen at this local Walmart was crazy. It's more cars parked in the in the garden center than the grocery center. And so I'm thinking there must be a sale or something going on. I'm in the military at this point, and I'm coming back home to really see my family, my friends, happy to be back. Matter of fact, I think I just came back from Korea too, not long after that. So I've been disconnected from my hometown for a few minutes. And I'm thinking, because when I pull up, I'm like, man, the garden center's packed today. And I'm thinking it's because they got a sale on azaleas or daisies, or they're giving away some mulch samples or whatever. I don't know what's happening. But when I get out of my car and I start walking to the building, I see the people in the garden center, under the little greenhouse piece, and they're looking at stuff, they're looking at the grills, but there's also a line of people going in the door. And as I get close to the door, I hear my dad's voice. "Come here, darling, let me squeeze you." "Come here, darling, let me squeeze you. Hey, girl, you looking good today. Hey, man, what's going on, man? How you doing?" And it was just like person after person. And I look around, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to get my time, because I'm like, yo, I'm home, but I ain't trying to let them know that I'm home. I don't want them to see me until I want him to see me. Y'all know you're trying to surprise somebody, right? And I'm sitting there trying to surprise him. And after a while, I was just like, you know what, I ain't got time for this. So I just walked to the front of the line. I'm like, "Dude, you signing autographs for what?" He said, "Hey, Junior, what's up, man?" "Hey, this my son right here, man. This my son right here." It was like, hey, young man, how you doing?" I'm just like, "Hey, how y'all doing?" I said, "What time you taking lunch?" Because to them, he brightened their day. And it's so many times you You get around people and they add no value to your life. They bring this negative energy. And when you get around somebody who has some positive energy, you tend to want to be, let me see, hey, that was his word. Hey, girl, hey, darling, let me squeeze. Come here, girl. He was like, hey, Walter, let me give you a hug. Come here, darling, let me get down. He wasn't volunteering to let me squeeze you. You had to say, hey, give me a hug, boy, or something like that. He's like, come here, girl, let me squeeze you. He had a little sense. He knew what era we was living in, and boy, you don't need none of them charges popping up. But yeah, people would go there, man, especially if they were having a bad day. They pull up at that garden center and they go in and they looking for Lover Glover. My oldest son, he's picked up that name as well. When the ladies or the teachers at school see him, they say, "Oh, they go little Lover Glover right there." And my junior, he's let's see, he's a good mix of me and his mom. But Junior got these big eyes, right? And it's like those. Y'all remember Alice in Wonderland, the what do they call it, the Cheshire Cat with the big eyes? My son eyes like that. His mom got, on their side of the family, they got some eyes over there. And my son picked up those eyes. And so when the joker be blinking, it's like he be mesmerizing people. Not me. I said, boy, you can blink at me all you want. Them eyes ain't doing nothing for you over here, buddy. But yeah, so people would go there when they were having a bad day. They weren't feeling good. Or they just wanted to talk. They just wanted to, just shoot the breeze for a little bit. Oh, he definitely see everything. The boy don't miss. He don't miss nothing. He don't miss nothing. Nothing at all. But my dad had this ability, no matter what was going on in his life, he could still be there for other people. If there was something going on in somebody's family, he always showed up. And he brought some juice, some eggs, some biscuits. He brought something to eat. He brought at least a piece of a meal. It wasn't even because you never know who at people's house. But he brought a little something, so you didn't have to leave the house. He was kind. He was considerate. He was thoughtful. He was very thoughtful. And I feel like because most people at a point are immature. I'm gonna just speak for dudes because I know dudes. Dudes, we are very immature to a point. It takes us getting to a certain age before a lot of things start to really click or resonate with us in a positive way, where we can actually learn and grow. And I was, around my dad when he was younger. Well, I can say younger. When I was younger, because my dad is 30. Wait, how old am I? My dad is 28 years older than me. So yeah, my dad would have been 76 this year. So my father passed at 75. And so I watched him as a younger man become an older man. And I saw his progression. I saw his transition from being the person that I knew him to being the person other people see him be, and then the person he finally became. And it's complicated when you want to put somebody in a box, you want to put somebody in a barrel, and then they grow past your placement. They grow past what you knew of them. And sometimes it's hard to let that old image go. One of the first questions I normally ask guys that come through my classes or my programs, when we start talking about their fathers, I'm always asking, when was the last time, or at what age were you? Let me preface this. What age were you when you stopped seeing your father through your mother's eyes? I always ask that question primarily because as children, whoever your closest your caregiver is, you normally see through their lens. And it's not until you get older that you start developing your own perspectives, developing your own insights into what life and what reality is from your perspective. And so often, so many guys, especially if their dad wasn't around, or if their dad was around and the relationship was bad or good, regardless, whatever it was. If the mom was in love with dad, the children would be in love with dad as well. If the mom and dad were at odds, because in most cases, who does mom talk to more than anybody? The children. And early on for a time, if mom isn't mature, she's gonna blast dad and they're gonna hear all those negative things. And so when you looking at people, always be careful of whose perspective you're seeing them through. D-Rob said, I don't understand the question. What's that mean? For years, as a young child, especially if you're the oldest or the only, you hear a lot of conversations that you shouldn't have. You shouldn't hear. And you can hear your mother on the phone. You can hear your aunties on the phone. And that chick yo got it, the evolution of pops. Because as a young man, think about it. If you a young guy and you living your best life and you may have a kid or two, but you're not with the mom. The mom wants to be with you. So she's making sure when you come around that the house looks good, the kids are good, she looks good. Cause y'all got a good relationship. Oh, your daddy coming over today, so we gotta make sure that your clothes look good. We gotta make sure the house look good. Come on, help me clean. And so the kid now has anticipation because dad's coming. Because mom has anticipation. But what happens when mom's saying, I can't stand your daddy. Your daddy does this, I can't stand it. He makes me feel this way. Oh, he never liked you anyway. He don't even claim you. And I know that's wild to say, but there are some ladies that do that. They're mad at their ex, their baby's dad, and they slander him in front of their children. And this is a small sample size of women that do that I think anyway. I haven't met as many that do that. Most of them, they're really indifferent. It's like, hey man, if he comes around, he comes around. I ain't pressed, you know. We're gonna be fine without him. But that's a mentality as well. However, your primary caregiver sees the other half of you, that's how you're gonna see the other half of you until you grow up one day and you realize that it's complicated. Family is complicated. Unless they're there for themselves and you can see it for yourselves. But that creates a whole nother set of problems that I won't even get into today. And so I'm always talking to dudes and I'm saying, hey, at what age were you? That chick just said, whose lenses are you looking through? Yeah, sometimes you pick up mom's glasses and you put mom's glasses on. And sometimes they're rose colored. Sometimes you see in clouds and storm. Yeah, that's it. Mo said it. Mo said it. Thank you, bro. Wow, this is a treat. I'm normally the coffee maker in the house. Thank you, babe. It's amazing. And so, one of the questions I normally get when I ask that question, how are you when you stop seeing your dad through your mom's eyes? What do you mean? 90% of the time, your mother's perspective of your father is going to be your perspective of your father. So many guys never even thought about it. They just took for granted that this is what it is. This person is up here and this is who they are. But through the years, I watched my dad evolve. Toronto Reagan said you should never use your kids as dumping grounds. Dumping negative seeds about their kid, about the father, that's a no-no. Yes, baby, it is amazing. Yep, that your said Bobby made coffee with extra love. Here we go. D Rob says, I grew up with both parents and grandparents. I had a girl tell me we wouldn't work because she only had her mom. Kind of made me feel bad like I did something wrong. Bruh. That's the whole point, man. You just said a whole you just preached a whole sermon right there, bruh. You just preached the whole sermon right there, bruh. The Bible talks about being unequally yoked. When you've had the benefit of having stability in your life, when you've had the benefit of having both mom and dad and grandparents, that gives you such a advantage in the relationship department because you see that there's levels, there's different sides, there's different thought processes. It doesn't make you better. It just gives you an advantage into how relationships should look. You had the model laid out for you. When you only have one parent, that model is a little shaky, or it can be a little shaky, even though they want to give you all the love and all the support. No one was supposed to do this life thing by themselves. No, none of us are supposed to go through life by ourselves. And when we're going through life by ourselves, whether we want to or not, we're developing some feelings on the inside. We're developing a mindset on the inside. And if you don't have children, then it's not as big a thing, but it could trip you up when the right people do come into your life. You might not recognize them at first, because we all come with some red flags. No matter how together we think we got it, in somebody else's eyes, we got some red flags. That makes sense, D-Rock? There is no better perspective. D-Rob says, whose perspective is better to look at? That's a trap question, because there is no better perspective. The perspective you have, the best perspective to have is the whole picture. See how mom treats dad, how dad treats mom, how grandparents treat each other, how your siblings get along. It's the whole picture you want to look at. Because like I said, having both parents in your life doesn't make you better at relationships. It just lets you see it from both sides. And as you going into your own relationships, you know that females have a tendency to be this way. Males have a leaning toward being this way. D-Rob said, I'm a pretty good man, y'all, and I do my thing. And she tells me I'm not used to having somebody lead, and man, it's hard out here. Yeah, man. When you've never seen, like for guys, when I get around guys who wasn't raised around their dad, I know two things. One, they lean a little bit more feminine than masculine. And I don't mean that from a sexual perspective. I mean they've been around more feminine energy than masculine energy. So the guys who, hold on, I'm about to make some controversial statements here. Nah, bro, it's relationships. It's complicated. It's complicated. And I opened the can of worms with a question with, how old were you when you stopped looking at your dad through your mom's eyes? The reason I asked that question is because I was probably 30. I was probably 30 when I stopped seeing my dad through my mom's eyes. I was probably 30. But I do know when there is a man in the house, and I'm going to say a strong man in the house, there are certain aggressive tendencies that are curtailed. Because you get a little smart with mama and she might pop you in the mouth. She might threaten you. But all dad got to do is look at you. We got a problem? No, sir. No, sir. Because it's hard to be a leader if you've never been led. It's hard to understand what leadership looks like if you've never been exposed to it. And leadership isn't a feel-good thing. This is the mission. This is what's required. This is the expectation. These are your march notes. This is how you should do it. Leadership can be rough sometimes. And in large measure, moms don't come standard with their rough gene. Not when it comes to their babies. This person that you grew inside your body for 9 months, that's survived off of your breast, that when they're sick, you're there cuddling, making them feel better. Their first day of school, you're making them, pumping them up, making them proud of themselves, and you tell them to go out there and conquer the world. You're giving them all this love. That's a mom's job. It's to love. It's to nurture. It's to help grow. And sometimes it's hard to switch that gear as they get older because you still see them as your baby. Now you do, because you realize it get a little healthy at some point in time. But you realize as they get older, okay, I gotta, they ain't babies no more. I can't spoil them too much because they're not babies no more. Mom, take care of the right now. Nurturing is right now energy. That when dads come in, though, there's a protective thing that happens in our mind. I got to protect this kid. I got to make sure they got everything they need. I got to make sure that nothing is going to harm them. This protective bell goes off. And so, guys, we plan long term. We're not thinking in the moment, which is why most guys can leave and go work 18 hours a day and not see their kids all week. Do it 5 days a week and not see them all week. And then on the weekend, be like, all right, they just, to be in the house with the kids is really all we need. Because our mission is protecting and providing and making sure they got a roof so they can be happy. And so they can play and they can grow. And so if a child grows up and they don't see both of those aspects, then guys that growing up in a more female-dominated environment, they're going to have more, I guess, feminine leanings as far as protecting. I need to protect this because this is what protected me. And then vice versa, if ladies grow up with their dad or in a male-dominated environment, we normally call them what? Tomboys. Why? Because they don't really do the prissy things because their prissy things wasn't a part of their environment as much. They enjoyed whether it was fishing or hunting or being around dad working on cars or just listening to dad and his friends talk. Because if I'm in a building and somebody walks in and says, hey, bro, sit y'all down and shut up. But my first thought ain't anger. My first thought is like, who is saying this and why are they saying it? Why? Because if you never had a daddy that check you, it's a foreign feeling when you get older. It's a very foreign feeling when you get older. If you used to having arguing matches going back and forth with moms, and then a real dude come in and be like, no, we don't do that. Who are you talking to? Talking to you. If we're going to be together, these are the rules. Meaning, I won't accept anything less than this. And if that's not good for you, then the door is right there. But what about what I want? Tell me what you want. Well, I don't know what I want. Toronto Riga said the tomboy in me comes out every once in a while. Yeah, especially if you grew up in the country, man. Monique says, thoughts and prayers with you all. Take your time if needed. Dropping the kid off. We love y'all. All right, Monique, you have a great day, sis. Thank you. That Yo says, yep, I can do both. Change a tire while in a dress. That would have. I've seen a lot of stuff, but I've never seen that before. Shout out to that chick, yo. Look, there you go. I know how to sit my happy self down when in a relationship. Hey, if you've never seen it, it's hard to adapt to it. And this is no shade to anybody, but life is about modeling. It's trial and error. It's seeing the relationship challenges that our parents have, that our siblings have, and then adopting a growth mindset and says, you know what? It ain't work good for this person. It ain't work good for her. It ain't work good for him. So why would I go bump my head up against this same wall? D-Rod says, oh, you talking back to your mom? Talk back to me. Yeah, exactly. If you've never had that dominant figure that could literally put you through the wall, check you probably a little reckless in life because you don't think it's real. Who gonna check me, boo? And D-Rob, to that young lady's point, whenever I was out there dating and I meet a young lady and I asked her about, how she grew up, and she said my dad wasn't a part of my life, instant red flag, bro. Because she's not gonna be able to tolerate me. Because I'm gonna be a bully. It's all you always talk about what you want it. But I never said what I want. This family. If we're going somewhere as a family, there has to be boundaries. There has to be rules to this thing. For your benefit and mine. I don't care how you feel about this. This is what it is. Rent's due on the 1st. We have to pay it. Well, I don't feel good, so I wanted to go shopping. No. Let's see. That shit yo says, I can't be waiting hours beside the road waiting on someone. I've seen it so many times. Shout out to you. But I've definitely seen she's just sitting in the car. And I don't know why they sitting in the car. So I just keep driving. But if I see somebody outside the car trying to change it, I'll definitely get out of help. Well, as long as I ain't like late for something. If I'm late for something, But if I got time, I'll stop. D-Rob said they both were Army too. Yeah. But no, man, life in general, life is complicated. Life is complicated. And when you have time to get relationships right, especially with the people that you love, the family, when you have time to have hard conversations, and honestly, I'd rather have a hard conversation that falls apart than to never have the conversation and I always wonder what it would have been. Y'all already know. I don't want to be 60, 70, wake up with a bunch of regret, wishing I would have done things. I don't want to let another loved one pass away without letting them know how important they were to me. And me and my pops, we were good. We had a really good relationship. The only regret I have is that we don't have more time, because he was with me my whole life. My dad was married 3 times. My dad had 3 families. And he wasn't, early on, he wasn't there for his earlier families. He was the Rolling Stone. But then one day he started growing up. One day he started getting his life together. He started doing things a little different. He started figuring some things out. He started growing. What's good, bro? My pop started growing, and there were some people that was super proud of his growth. There were some people who didn't understand the growth and didn't want it to happen, because a lot of times when we change the people around us, and some people don't want to change. Some people don't want to grow. They find comfort in being the victim or being stuck in this place because it gives them identity. It gives them purpose. And yeah, it's sad, but it happens way too often. Because most people in life are still just trying to figure out who they are, where they fit, and what they're supposed to do. I'm telling y'all, man, my dad, he had this ability that he could be present in the moment with whoever he was with. He wasn't the most trusting. My dad was prove it to me first more, show me what you talking about, don't tell me. He was much more along those lines, but he was never super negative. You got to prove it to me, show it to me. Well, I mean, I can't tell you what to do. You live your life how you live your life. But if you telling me this, I need to see some evidence that that's a thing. And whether you did it or not, he treated you the same. Now, he ain't trust you no further than he can throw you. But he wasn't no dummy. He wasn't no sucker. But he had the ability to bounce back from a lot of things. I think that's one of the biggest life lessons that I've taken from him. Being present in the moment. No matter how you feel, no matter what's going on, be present in the moment. And also to embrace your superpower. His was definitely the bounce back, the resiliency. So shout out to Glover Lover. Shout out to Glover Lover. My pops. He lived life truly on his terms. And as he would say, shoot, I lived a good life. I lived a good life. My dad, he was 75, so he did live a longer life. Most people these days, they're not making it out of their 60s anymore. But then you got some making it to their 80s. So my dad lived 3/4 of a century. So he had a very good run at it. He was content and he was happy. And if he wasn't, you probably wouldn't know about it, because one day at a time, sweet Jesus. One day at a time. And I think, I have a lot of memories of him. And I think the lasting thing that I think I'm probably always it's all gonna be a part of my life. Breakfast. Breakfast was huge for him. And it's huge for me. I didn't realize that until a few years ago that my love for breakfast stems from his love from breakfast. And we did it a little more last year than this year because it's just been so busy this year. Yeah. And he would always tell me that, he always found a little breakfast spot where he'd go and get him a little biscuit, a little fat bat, something like that. And so one day I said, Pop, let's do breakfast tomorrow. Shoo. Yeah, my dad stutter too, y'all. So when he get excited, he will stutter a little bit. And and that's kind of how I knew when he was really feeling something. Because if he wasn't feeling it, you see him start scratching that beard. He's like, yeah. Well. And you don't realize some people do things until, you really think about it. But I started going to breakfast with him more. And we actually never made breakfast this year, just because there was so much happening. But last year, we went to breakfast quite a few times. and just sitting out there, just talking to him, watching people come over to the table, shake his hand, and he stop and he'll shake their hand, and when they leave, he'll put hand sanitizer back on his hand. I'm just like my dad, man. He was a complicated man. You know, he didn't do it all right, and there was definitely some growth that happened through the years. But as people, all of us are complicated. But my dad did one thing that, most of us we probably should do: embrace our strengths, double down on our strengths, the things that we're good at. The thing that he good at is so many other things. I won't even open that can of worms. But my dad sucked at names. If your name wasn't Betty or Barbara, and literally those names, it wasn't Betty or Barbara or Pearl. He struggled with the name. I know my sister dated this guy for 4 years, and he got the guy's name right a year after they broke up. He called that man every name in the dictionary, every name in the book except his name. And I used to think it was on purpose. But I don't know. He just could not get names right. But did he care? Nope. Come in, darling, let me squeeze you. So he messed your name up, didn't give you a hug. It's just like, okay, the hug was great, so I won't be mad today. But that was his thing, man. Being present, blocking the things out. He gave my wife a Christmas card last Christmas, and it said, y'all know her name is Bobbyette. And why Bobbyette is confusing to people, I'm like, Bobbyette. It's like the female version of Bobby. Bobby with an I, right? Bobbyette. And he said, Merry Christmas, Barter. I love you. I'm like, how he get Barter out of Bobby? I don't know. But I'm a pasta. Yeah, he had nicknames. He had a nickname for Kay, and all his kids had nicknames, and yeah, he ain't fool with our names too much. So if your name wasn't from the 50s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, maybe even the 60s, if you came in here, Toronto Riggins, I hate to tell you this, but he was gonna butcher your name. He was gonna butcher it. Monique, you probably would have just been Mo. And Kay, he can say Kay, but I messed around and I told him her actual like government name. He was like, and I could see the smoke starting to happen. Next thing I know, it was, hey, sexy. So she was gonna be Canada. Oh, hey, Canada, that's the Canada girl. Yeah. He was gonna butcher your name, and at first I promise you I thought he was doing it just to be funny, but if it backfired because it became a thing if he wasn't trying. Or Tonto would have been the name. That's it. Tonto. Hey, what's her name again? Is it Tonto? Like, Pop, she not with the Long Ranger. No, it ain't Tonto. And he got a big laugh out of it and then forgot 10 seconds later. Aunt Canada. Wow. Man, I appreciate y'all, man. Let me get on here and be vulnerable. Because it's all a part of the healing. You go to sleep and, you make it through a day when you lose a loved one. You go to sleep and it just kind of puts everything on pause. And then you wake up, you open your eyes, and you realize it wasn't a dream. And then the reality of it again sets in. There's an African proverb that says, when an old man dies, a library burns to the ground. and y'all know I'm a little sentimental. And so I try to talk about the good times and the times that stick out because at some point that's really all you have. The arguments, the disagreements, it was like really what was it all for? And like I've told y'all before, one of the reasons I do this show in the mornings and I talk about personal development because I know one day I'm not going to be here. One day my sons are going to get the call. One day my daughters are going to get the call. And I want them to always be able to, because I feel like I got something to say. It's my gift. So I want them to be able to just, when they need to know, what would dad do in this situation? What would dad tell me? But they don't have to wonder because they already know what I'm going to tell them. But they can also go to YouTube and they can find their dad talking about it. They can get my thoughts from my voice, from my own mouth. Then they might can't ask me a specific question, but my superpower is communication. The ability to make things bite-sized and understandable and to do it in an entertaining way. I think I get that from my dad too. I don't know, I think it's a mix. Because my mom's side, boy, some storytellers over there. Whew. Some serious storytellers. So yeah, I think it's a good mix. And yeah, man, trying to find a new normal now. Because I know I just can't pop up at Walmart anymore. Cause my dad was still at Walmart. Still back there in the garden center. They had him installing grills. I mean, people come in the store looking for him because nobody else can't find nothing. Because he was consistent, he was persistent, and he always showed up as his best self. And that's the legacy that he's really leaving behind. Show up as your authentic self and be your best version of that. That's it. So that's what's been going on, and I didn't, because you guys have been so faithful and rock with me so much. I didn't just want to let another day go by without me saying nothing because I'm a dismissive avoidant, and I can do that very easily. I can disconnect and be like, yo, y'all forgive me, man. I was going through some stuff. But nah, man, we family. So in real time, it's happening in real time. I gave myself that Friday to kind of process, and because there's no way I could have done a show Friday. It'd have been so freaking emotional because I hadn't been able to really quantify my feelings at that point. It was still fresh. We didn't go to the hospital to, he passed in his home. So we in his house and he's on the floor in his house and the sheets there and the people's coming to get him. And it was a very traumatic experience. Something that you would normally see on TV, or years ago, that's really how it was. It wasn't the luxury of having the hospital be the intermediary. So it was a new experience for me, and my feelings wasn't quite settled yet. But, we all headed that way. So make your life worth living. Grow. Become the person that qualifies to have the kind of life that you want. Write your own legacy. Teach people how to treat you. And be a person that you are proud of in every sense of the way. And so now when it's your time to go, people will have the fondest memories of you. They'll tell stories about you for a very long time. But more importantly, you would have lived a life that was truly worth living. Regardless of what anybody else's expectations were, when you show up as your best self, you attract the people, the resources, the things that you need around you. When you perfect the art of being you, things do get a little bit better. The journey gets a little bit easier. So that's my kinfolk there, y'all. If that's your said I was going to hit the Facebook page up if I didn't hear anything. Yeah, I appreciate it. That's the accountability, man. That's what family's supposed to do. Hold each other accountable. But that's what's been going on in my world. So I want to give a special shout out to all my biological brothers and sisters, all my adopted brothers and sisters and family that knew my pops. Shout out to you. You got a chance to witness a person who truly loved life. He had his standards, he had his way of doing things, and he was unapologetic about it. And that's an example that, hopefully we all take it and we incorporate into our lives. And tell the people you love them that you love them. Don't let, too many weeks and days go by without keeping the relationship, intact, without becoming estranged. And then the only time you see your family member is at somebody's funeral or at somebody's wedding. Let's stop doing that, y'all. Let's stop doing that. Said the Riggins girls was about to roll out. Oh man, definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it. Yep. I don't really know how to end today because there's so much on my heart, so much I still want to say. But everything should not be said in the company of the public. Everybody that's gonna see this video is not family, and they may not understand. They may not quite get it. There's a safe space in this space, but 6 months from now, people are weird sometimes. So, you guys have a great week. Have a great day. No matter where you are, what you're going through, remember, life is worth living. So do it intentionally, live on purpose, take care of yourselves, and love those that are around you. Love on those who are proven to be in your corner, to be on your side. Appreciate you. That your girl says we're here if y'all need us, and we greatly appreciate it. So Auntie Canada, see, dang, you shouldn't have told me that. Oh man, I love it. I love it. Sissy Pooh, Auntie Canada. Oh man, this has been a pleasure getting to know you ladies. So thank you for being as open and as honest and as transparent as you have been. Shout out to my baby who done brought me a nice hot cup of coffee, who's been my ride or die, standing by my side through whatever comes. It hadn't been a lifetime yet, but we will make it that. So shout out to you, boo. To everybody else, I may not have called your name today, but much respect, much love. I appreciate you, and I'm grateful for your friendship and your fellowship. And we will try to do this again on Wednesday, y'all. So I'll see you. Y'all stay blessed. Peace.